Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to WatchYouWant.com. Thanks for logging on. Today we're looking at a special half-dress, half-dive reference from watchmaker Omega. This is the Seamaster Aqua Terra 150M Co-Axial from Omega's Seamaster Aqua Terra line, which kind of splits the difference between a hardcore sports watch and a watch that has just enough elegance to pull double duty in a tux. Now this model in particular, the 150, is part of the cornerstone of the line. Originally launched in 2009, the Aqua Terra was just a more refined version of the Seamaster. It didn't have the rotating bezel like the Professional. It didn't have the oversized case like the Planet Ocean. But what it did have is that measure of refinement that takes it where no Seamaster has gone before. So what you see here is a model that evolves that elegant sports watch concept to the next level. And its characteristic traits that really set it apart even from the other Aqua Terras are this almost teak plank-like tobacco metallic tuxedo dial that has these vertical striations that run from bottom to top. Now this does sort of resemble the teak decking of a vintage vessel, so the Seamaster nautical heritage is sort of indirectly and cleverly referenced here, but the visual impression adds a lot of articulation to a dial that would otherwise be a fairly blank expanse without it. Now, Omega does a lot to burnish the upscale credentials of this watch. I was saying that there are two characteristics that really set it apart. The first is that dial, and we'll get back to that in a second. But the other is the use of 18-karat rose gold at key highlight points, the crown, the applied indexes on the dial, the window for the date aperture, the hands. So between the bezel, the hands, the date aperture, the applied numerals, and the crown, you have a lot of visual interest created by that two-tone. It's not like Rolex Rollesaur yellow gold and stainless. It's a lot warmer. And when combined with that metallic tobacco teak decking, it's a really upscale, appealing, endearing aesthetic. And it's also worth noting that because these are all applied, not printed indexes, and applied, not printed corporate marquee right here, the impression of the watch in person is very upscale. Again, if you want a watch that's sporty enough to get wet and play hard, this watch is. It has 150 meters of water resistance, as the name implies, but it's also comfortable in formal wear. Now, one of the nice features of this watch is that it has a little bit of hidden horological content. I'm going to get into that now, because the watch contains Omega's in-house caliber 8500, and one of the nice features is that you can actually set the hour hand independently of the minutes for traveling through time zones. Great if you travel frequently. Also, the watch itself, the movement itself, is the landmark Omega Coaxial caliber 8500 that originally debuted in 2007. Now, this marked the beginning of the era of coaxial Omega movements for Omega watches. And what sets it apart is that it has a fine level of finish that's really quite intriguing for a watch in this price range. Now, you can see that the traditional Cote de Genève is actually dispensed with in favor of a sort of radial spiral that's very intriguing. A lot of the screw heads are not just polished on their tops, they're blackened. So these black oxidized screws are unique, and in contrast with the purple, kind of deep violet of the pivot gems, it's a very striking movement to look at. But maybe the most important part of it is the part that I haven't emphasized yet, this balance area. You can see the oscillating hairspring and balance wheel in there, and what's going on is actually the crux of this movement. You've got the silicon balance wheel and the silicon hairspring completely anti-magnetic. And that's a formidable breakthrough. Only Omega is offering a completely anti-magnetic, you might even say amagnetic, in that it doesn't resist magnetic fields so much as it simply bypasses them by virtue of not having any vulnerability to magnetism. These are not metallic components. They're made of silicon. They're made in-house by Omega. That's their technology. And they're mounted, of course, to an escapement powered by Omega's own coaxial system. Now, that was theirs back in 1999. They were the first to bring an alternative escapement technology to market pretty much for under $100,000. To this day, it remains an Omega trademark. Really sets this watch apart horologically from the massive sports watches in the sub $10,000 price range. You get a lot of in-house value with this Omega, and you get a 60-hour power reserve, which is far beyond the industry norm. So if you're looking for a watch that gives a lot of value for money, that looks good in a bathing suit or a business suit, if you're looking for a watch that comes with full box and papers, that has a marked degree of elegance, and yet is instantly recognizable as a contemporary sports watch, you just might want the Omega Seamaster Aqua Terra 150M Co-Axial, 41.5 millimeters, available right now from watchyouwant.com. Check out this Omega Seamaster Aqua Terra and our entire collection of luxury pre-owned watches. I'm confident that you'll find the watch you want.